Let's talk about some fucked up shit they're not going to let you talk about on Weibo or Weeaboo or Weeaboo, whatever they call their fucking social media app in the land over there. Can't talk about it on the TikToks. Let's talk about this article. From 2017, inside the Chinese lab poised to study the world's most dangerous pathogens. This is a one and only lab. There are going to be more by the year 2025, but the very first one's being built. Guess where it's being built, chat? The very first biohazard level 4 facility is being built at a special university located in the heart of Wuhan. What? Now, if you were to take that location and, I don't know, put it on a map, the Chinese Academy of Science, where the biohazard level 4 facility is located, and then trace a route directly to the Henan seafood market where they said this originated, why, you'd see it was only a distance of 8.7 miles. 8.7 miles between the most dangerous pathogens on Earth and the start of a new mystery disease that seems to spread all around the world. In a city that's been quarantined with every other city around it being quarantined. Fuck shit, that makes me think a little bit. I'm starting to go, over here. The old noggin's jogging a little bit. Biohazard level 4 facility, right across the bridge from it, the ground zero of a new disease emerging. Maybe one of the scientists, maybe one of those medical guys, really liked him some bat fucking soup. Got so excited for a delicious round of bat soup, he hopped in his little Pinto mobile and drove 8.7 miles down to the open air market, where he spread a disease that's killing everyone. That would be embarrassing. I wouldn't want to admit that. I see a lot of thinking thoughts in the chat right now. Seen a lot of deep thinking thoughts in chat. What a coincidence. What a short distance between danger and death. It almost makes you wonder if somebody might have fucked up a little bit. Didn't get clean when they left. Forgot to use some of that Puracell on their hands. Wash behind the ears. You got to remember to wash behind the ears when you're dealing with super death. Don't want any of Captain Trips to get out of the facility. Start the fucking apocalypse. And so in the span of a week, we went from 100 people sick to quarantining 30 million people and a disease showing up in 12 different countries. Of which, not information, related to stopping people from dying badly has been shared properly with the CDC. While the WHO is sitting on their fat, dumb, international globalist asses not doing a fucking thing. And people are trying to downplay it like it's just SARS again. Even though we're already getting upward estimates of 10,000 people infected when SARS internationally only hit 8,500. And this isn't happening over the course of, I don't know, fucking 3 months. It's happening over the course of 7 days. So it's got me to wondering, is this our girl, chat? Is this it? Is this our girl? Is she going to do it? Is she going to do the impossible, dream the impossible? Is she going to seize her dreams? Make memes a reality? Is our little Corona-chan going to spread the woo flu across the globe and purify and purge humanity? Slim pickings, really, for your entertainment purposes. But you've got front row seats to a pandemic. I know, I shouldn't use that word. I've heard all the talk on Twitter. I've seen all the experts giving their well thought out ideas. I'd like to share what I think encapsulates one of the biggest things I've been hearing lately when it comes to the Awu flu from Eugene, I think sums it up best here. In a month and a half time since the Wuhan coronavirus emerged as a new disease, it's killed 41 people so far. During that same time period, the common flu has killed almost 80,000 people. We need to take all new diseases seriously and be vigilant while keeping everything in perspective, too. Oh, I've been hearing a lot of that shit. But Jim, there's the flu kills people. There's a fucking flu out there, Jim. Who cares about Chinese chickenpox? The flu, Jim. You don't understand. There's some fucking flus out there. Well, Eugene, I don't know. I mean, when I think about it, let me ask you this question, Chad, to all the Eugenes out there. Well, let's talk about the flu, the big bad influenza. When we're talking about the flu, how many stories have you heard this year of entire cities being quarantined? Just name one in regards to the flu. How many millions of people have been told to stay in their homes? How many cities have had all transportation in and out of them completely cut off? How many Disneylands have closed down because of the flu? How many people are you seeing getting taken at gunpoint into ambulances in the streets because of the flu? How many videos out there are you watching of doctors breaking down in hospitals to their fucking knees and sobbing because of the flu? I don't know, Eugene. I'd say maybe there's a little bit more going on than just the fucking flu. And maybe, the response we're seeing from China might indicate that there's some shit going on. And when I'm talking about quarantines, let's take a look at what that means. Let's see what it looked like in the beginning. In the beginning, it was all fucking sunshine and roses. Pretty little soldiers with their cute little masks all standing there. Oh, look at them. Oh, aren't they handsome? What handsome boys they are. Oh, you can't come into the railway station. Handsome boys are blocking you. Oh, did you want to get in your car? Let me put this little thermometer to your forehead. Another handsome boy said you can't go no farther. I'm sorry, you can't go no farther. Well, handsome boys, they got fucking guns now. They're kitted out in full hazmat suits with fucking guns. They're not using thermometers anymore. But even if you got past all these handsome boys and tried to make a run for it, guess what? You're not fucking going anywhere. They're building stone and dirt walls at every road and fucking tunnel out of Wuhan. Where do you think you're going, bitch? Nowhere. You get in your house and you die. Are you fucking kidding me? And then you got, okay, again, just take a look at this. Roads being blocked off with stones and bricks. Checkpoints being set up at fucking roadways and subway stations. Men with guns and full hazmat suits. And then go back and look at what dumb fuck Eugene had to say about the flu. It's only 41 people, guys. You know how every year when the flu comes around, the U.S. government sends out men in military hazmat suits with assault rifles and puts bulldozers to block off bridges and underpasses? A regular occurrence during the flu. Eugene, you're a fucking idiot. I don't know. This screams to me that maybe they're scared. Maybe they think something terrible's happening. And let's put away this bullshit that it's animal to human. Okay? If it was animal to human, you wouldn't have to block off this much shit. Are you trying to tell me that hundreds of thousands of people went to the seafood market to eat some bat soup? I find that I'm a little incredulous about that. But don't worry. I mean, they've got it under control. They brought out their fucking Tonka trucks. Oh, look at those cute little Tonka trucks. The Chinese. Toot toot, here comes the Tonka trucks. Oh, we're going to build a hospital with 1,000 beds. Wait a minute, I only thought 800 people were sick. Why would you suddenly need to build a new fucking emergency hospital with 1,000 beds for a disease that's not affecting anybody and it's only killed 40 people? What would compel you to have to do this much construction work and then on top of your first 1,000 bed emergency hospital to build a second one with 1,300 beds? They're saying they're going to complete these prefab hospital emergency treatment centers in the span of 10 to 14 days. So they're going to create two hospitals with upwards of 2,400 beds in 2 weeks. Now, why would you need to do construction on that scale if it was just the flu? Hey, Eugene, again. Eugene, smarty boy. Big boy, smarty boy, Mr. Blue Checkmark. I don't remember ever reading a fucking story in the U.S. or Europe about the flu popping up and then, France saying, hey, let's build 2 emergency hospitals in 14 days. Anybody else? Chat? Am I alone on that? Or maybe is Eugene a fucking moron? I'm just having trouble wrapping my little head around these things. Now, I'm not sure if you guys were aware of this, but there's some shocking, shocking amount of racism out there. Terrible, terrible things. I've been hearing a lot of complaints about bat soup. People saying, hey, that's not fucking funny, Jim. Okay? Stop making bat soup jokes. In fact, I had a certain individual today get very offended about bat soup jokes. Now, I'm not the one coming up with this dumb shit. This is the stuff that China's trying to sell you. All right, let me remind you, the Communist Party in China is trying to convince you. Somebody was so curious what a bat's asshole tasted like that they started a fucking pandemic. That's not the theory Jim goes with. I don't think it was rim jobbing bats that started this. I'll tell you what my theory is once we get a little further along, but this still is floating out there. But just terrible, oppressive racism. Maybe you saw this. There's a video of a Chinese Instagram thought. I don't know who the fuck she is. I love the title of the article. It's such a cuntish thing to write. Why haven't you died? Why aren't you fucking dead yet, whore? Chinese bat soup influencer whose gruesome dinner shocked the world in wake of coronavirus breaks her silence. In an apology she made on China's microblogging site Weibo, she wrote, "Sorry everyone, I shouldn't eat bats." Well, that should be just the fucking starting assumption, right? Like, did you really need to consider that? You need to think on that a little bit. Should I eat this bat's asshole or not? Let me think about it. Might be delicious. I'll never know if I don't give it a shot. I gotta dig in. I gotta dig in. Let me crack them open like a chicken. Give it a little lickaroo. See what it tastes like. I shouldn't eat bats. Could you imagine that's your fucking reputation? You'll forever be known throughout the world as a chick that had to actually say, you know what, on second thought, I shouldn't eat bats. It's a bad idea. But this anti-Asian racism is just fucking off the charts. It's not just bat soup. You sick fucks in the chat that are making all these horrible soup jokes at these innocent Chinese people. I mean, it has to be pretty bad. It has to be pretty fucking bad when you're willing to convince the world that you eat badass. All right? You fucked up on a scale so large that you're willing to go with the story that the reason the pandemic is happening is you love the taste of bat asshole. You can't let the truth get out, so you're willing to take that hit and let the whole world think that you're rim jobbing these fucking flying rodents. Brilliant. Just absolutely brilliant. Somebody had made this little graph, and it's already outdated, but it gives you a good idea of what you're looking at. Look at that. There's SARS. Look at SARS limping along. Oh, isn't that adorable? Oh, SARS, you're so cute. Look at you. Oh, my God. Somebody take a picture. Let's put it in a photo album. SARS, look, they think they're a big boy now. And there's Wuhan. There's that coronavirus. That's Corona-chan. Look at that shit. Straight the fuck up. There's no brakes on this train. She's going full speed ahead. All right, SARS took its lazy ass 8 months to get to where it was going. MERS, don't even bring it up. Took a year to get like 100 people. It took forever. And both of them, MERS and SARS, only killed 800 or so people apiece. But our little NCOV, our woo flu, already has, well, according to this chart, the numbers will be updated, but tens of thousands of people infected, and we're getting that death count. That's starting to roll now. Every day the update's coming in, it's 50 or more people dying. Spreading around the world, getting out there, spreading her wings and flying like the little bat-infested disease she is. Whether it's lab manufactured, whether it's some kind of freak mutation that got out of the lab accidentally or intentionally, whether there's some weird group trying some kind of weird terrorist shit, that J-curve should tell you that there is something fucked up going on, that they're aware that something fucked up is going on, and they are terrified of it. And the actions of other countries should tell you that they're aware that something's going on. And they too are a little fucking freaked out by it. All these people on college campuses, you're the ones that are super fucked. You've got all these foreign students coming in. You just wait. Give it a little bit of time to catch up to you. And you're going to start seeing universities really become ground zero for this shit. And then what do? If you wear a mask to class, you're deemed a racist. You're told that you're a horrible fucking bigot. This is anti-Chinese racism because you don't want to get sick. You don't want to go to a classroom where 30 fucking people are from Hubei. They're directly from Wuhan. They just came back from the Chinese New Year. Oh, they're healthy. Don't worry about it. They're not showing any symptoms, except, carriers can be asymptomatic. This is some fucked up shit. And I don't understand why there are so many people on social media, why there are people in the press that keep downplaying it and acting like it's not a big deal. If this plateaus, if they can somehow really honest to God contain it, I still stand by 100% that this is a bioweapon that got loose and they're incompetent. Now, I don't know who they were planning on using it on. I don't know what the intended target is. But I'm trying to think of like an equivalent of a fuck up on this scale, and I can't think of one. This would be like in World War II. If instead of dropping the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, if when they were loading them up on the plane, they accidentally took off and then the release lever got pulled and they bombed fucking Las Vegas. Like, that's how stupid the Chinese are. That would be the equivalent of what they've done here. They've unleashed a super plague on their own continent that seems to target Asian people, and it's running wildly out of control. And yet you have the media saying you're racist if you're concerned about it, and other people saying it's just worry about the flu instead. Well, which flu should I worry about, Eugene? Because apparently now it's not just, Corona-chan that's running around there, but it's goddamn H5N1. Which flu do I need to be worried about, Eugene? Which one from China? Is it that one that I should be scared shitless about? What has that had? 180 human infections? What is this? Maybe this is another fucking warped thing from one of their super labs. Maybe instead of HIV, they put, I don't know, fucking cancer into it. I don't know what weird shit they're doing down there at the Wuhan Virology Institute. But apparently they're doing some crazy fucking stuff. Oh, don't worry about it, bro. It's just the flu, bro. You need to relax. Stop being so paranoid. Stop being so scared. Or how about people uttering this in BBC interviews? Coronavirus in Wuhan. We'd rather die at home than go to quarantine. God, what is it about quarantine that's got these people so fucked up? Why are they so upset about it? The guards look friendly. They've got giant poles with human catchers attached at the end. Oh, what could possibly go wrong at quarantine camp? It seems like a fun adventure for the whole family. I suppose. I don't know, chat. Do you want to take a look at some of these makeshift quarantine camps? Would you like to see what their emergency fever clinics look like? I mean, I can show you some videos on the inside of how sanitary and professionally made they are. I think these camps are A plus number one, right? Like, they've done a really spectacular job on it, and I can share it with you if you'd like to see. I'm not 100% certain, though. It's up to you, chat. Should we go on a grand tour of the quarantine camps and take a look at the wonderful accommodations? Goofing camp? You could call it that, yeah. They're having a goof and a giggle. It's a vacation. Yes, I'm seeing a lot of... there's a delay. Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of yeses. A lot of people want to go on a trip to the quarantine camp. All right, we can do that. It's funny because I'd say about 4 days ago, somebody posted a video. I can't find it anymore, and I'm almost certain they were forced to take it down, of what looked like a tent city being built on the outskirts of Wuhan. And at first I thought it was a bullshit video, but now after reading about the forced quarantine camps, I'm thinking that dude had an inside line into what was coming up. But let's take a look at the videos that are up showing all these wonderful... let me get this all queued up here. all these wonderful facilities and how nice the staff are. Oh, they're just fucking angels, I tell you. Here's one that's catching a lot of attention at the moment called Fang Kang Hospital. A lovely place to bring sick people if you ever have an issue. I'm sure you're gonna fucking love this. Let's take a look at how they treat people.
走路走不了了，生活不能自理，这不是医院，这只是个隔离点，出了事没有任。
Okay, I want you to catch what he said there. We don't take care of you here. This isn't a hospital, it's a quarantine station. We're going to round up all these suspected sick people, and we're not going to take care of you. It gets even better, though.
对负责，我们也担不起这个责任。这只是个隔离点啊，跟大家说强调过很多遍，这不是医院。你来了就只能在里面安心的进行隔离，而且不能出来。
那我如果说我妈妈要打针怎么办呢？
那也解决不了，因为我们这没有任何一些救助设备，所以你这点你是要考虑清楚。啊？要吃完只能委托家属给里面的护士、医生联系来送。
他就是把你
医疗会保障。
This is not a hospital. It's a quarantine camp, and you came here for fun. And at a place that's just dedicated to fun, we don't medically treat you. Now, don't make me press the button on your shock collar, okay? I don't want any fucking trouble here. Once you enter, you can't leave.
这是我们接到通知，这您去我只是说了我这个点位，明白不？大叔，就说我们这里面，我对你讲清楚，不要到时候你又说这个打针那里这里面没有的，医务人员是有刀的，但是他一些设备都没有，知道吧？他一些救治设备啊。
we have no appliances. Oh, you know that disease? It's making everybody get deaf. A deaf lung disease where they get a rancid pneumonia. We don't have anything for you. Oh, you need some pills? No, we're not doing that, champ. You need me to put an IV in? Not my job. You need to come into quarantine camp, and then you can't leave. And if you run out of your medicine, you're kind of fucked. Sorry, your mom needs her diabetes shot. Not my fucking problem. That's a you problem. That's not a me problem.
对，最主要一点就是说，这里你进来了就不要再出来了，避免进行一些交叉感染。家属也是一样的，不要进来，它就是个隔离点。
Once you get in, you can't get out. Oh, that sounds like just the funnest thing ever. I love the idea of being locked into a location that I can't leave, surrounded by people that are horribly sick, with no medical treatment or machinery available to me. But I mean, that's just the outside and the wonderful staff that's associated with all these amazing things. What's it like on the inside? Well, according to one person that's leaked a bunch of videos that we're going to take a look at. Leaked video inside the newly built Fangkang Hospital in Wuhan to quarantine coronavirus patients. Here's just a list of some of the feature sets you're going to get to enjoy at your stay at the quarantine camp. No washrooms. No washrooms. If you need to shit, you shit in a bag like a fucking animal. No doctors in 3 days. No one takes care of anything. And if you showed up late, if you weren't there at the crack of dawn on the first day of quarantine camp, you sleep on the fucking floor like a dog. Again, can we go back to where was Eugene? What did he call them? What was that? Dirty infestors like rats and cockroaches. Oh, God, it sounds like how the Chinese are treating the Chinese. I'm so confused, Eugene. I thought white people were the devil. What? But this quarantine camp, I don't know. This doesn't sound fun at all. Have I been lied to? I don't know. Let's take a look at the video. Where do you poop in a place with no toilets?
是所谓的开塞房，只有一个开塞房，没有洗手的地方，洗漱的地方都没有。这就是所有的人，全部都睡在这个地方。 根本都没有隔离。
First stage of a good quarantine. Put everybody's bed directly next to each other. No partitions, You want all that aspiration, all that coughing. You want all that phlegm and shit. Just to have to travel the smallest distance possible to get to the next person. Just line them up like sardines in a can. But make sure they have nowhere to poop. Okay, that's the real danger. When these people start shitting, that's when everything goes to pot. Okay, we need to take the bathrooms away and make them sleep directly next to each other.
一个隔离间都没有，这么多人，你说要洗漱，要上厕所。
Even the lady filming it, I gotta take a shit so bad. I've been in this Wuhan detention center for 4 days now, and I've eaten so much Kung Pao chicken that my ass is gonna literally explode.
到现在早餐也没有，医生也没有，就只是登记，就登记了恨不得3天了，就没一个医生过来。还有，到处都是人。我先进来的还有一个床铺。
Kind of puts it a little bit into perspective when what was that young Chinese lady said when it came to why don't you go to the quarantine camp with your family? Oh, I'd rather die at home than go to quarantine. I'd rather be dead than set foot in the quarantine camps that are currently going on. Why would you take their toilets away? What reason would there be for that? How could you lock people up for 4 days and not let them poop? It's so mean. There's no reasoning to it. It's pure fucking insanity, chat. They need, yes, that's right, chat. They need a defecation station, but they have none in their quarantine camp, or as some in chat are referring to it, death camp. So your bylaw now, rounded up, forcibly removed from your house rather than locked into it. Oh, I've got a cough. They're onto me. Forcibly removed from it, put inside a sick box on the back of a flatbed truck, brought to one of these mass quarantine camps. And then when you're kept in there, you don't get any medicine, any doctor treatment. There's no machinery, nothing. And on top of it, they don't let you poop. They lock you in a hospital and don't let you shit. Oh, these Chinese are wild. I think we need to take a minute to really appreciate this amazing and totally naturally developed, or naturally occurring, I should say, virus. You know, the one that experts are saying, at least in the Wall Street Journal, when they're talking to people about what they would forecast the spread of something like this would be. How many people might one person infect? What's the outlook for the world? And their guesstimate, 40 to 70% infection rate. I've seen R0 values for this fucking disease all over the place. The funniest one to me is 6, because you've got WHO representatives saying that it's not just aerosolized, it's airborne, and it's got an R0 of 6. It's fucking smallpox. Anybody remember how fun smallpox was? 40 to 70% infected. That fucker's out there doing some shit. Oh, and don't forget the 24-day incubation period. Chinese expert Zhong Nan Shan led research on the clinical traits of the coronavirus and concluded that the incubation period of the virus can go from 3 days to as long as 24 days. Previously, the longest incubation period was believed to be 14 days. Now ask yourself, how many times have you heard a story over the last 2 to 3 weeks about a country quarantining people? And how long did they quarantine them for? Oh, 14 days. And yet this little bastard, this totally natural disease, incubates for up to 24 days. So even 10 days past the quarantine, when they're back in their community, it's out there. It's also a disease that, for whatever reason, tests negative 30 to 50% of the time. So you get it, you're asymptomatic and show no symptoms. You test negative for it because the test turns up 30 to 50% negative, and it's incubating for 24 days. Well, that's just great. That's fucking. I love being sick for a month without knowing it and getting everybody around me sick to the point that they're gurgling in lung juice. And can we talk about that glorious reinfection rate? Chinese doctors say Wuhan coronavirus reinfection even deadlier. Instead of creating immunity, the virus can reportedly reinfect an individual and hasten a fatal fucking heart attack. Oh, God, are you kidding me? So it's a speculated infective rate. Its R value is 6. It's fucking airborne. It's aerosolized. It incubates for 24 goddamn days. It can trick tests into showing that it doesn't exist. And then, after you arduously battle this in the goddamn hospital, once you've been intubated with your horrific pneumonia that, by the way, can give permanent lung damage, and you survive it, you get reinfected, and instead of having pneumonia, you have a fucking heart attack. That sounds just like the sniffles to me. That sounds like the flu that I remember. Really makes you fucking think, doesn't it? Oh, but let's not stop there with this fucking horror show of a disease. Please, can we make it worse? Oh, I think we can. Coronavirus seems like the perfect storm. Reports that it can affect fertility and cause men not to be able to reproduce with their sperm. So it can trick tests. It incubates for a month. You can be asymptomatic and infect people. It'll destroy your lungs. And if you survive it, it will give you a heart attack. And if you survive that, it's going to fucking go after your nuts. It's going to render you infertile. That doesn't sound like the fucking cold to me. That doesn't sound like any disease I've ever heard of. What island of Dr. Moreau shit were the Chinese up to exactly that they came up with this abomination of a fucking disease? Oh my God, Chad, I think we got a fucking problem here. Maybe after hearing some of these input on what this fucking thing does, maybe that's why they locked down half their country. Maybe that's why 1/10 of humanity is in lockdown right now, because of the lung-destroying, heart attack-giving, nut-crushing super disease that can hide amongst them for 24 fucking days. Oh, and speaking of amazing naturally occurring viruses, multiple reports coming from different journalists, from CNN and fucking The Mirror, all over the goddamn place. South China University of Technology biologist exposed the coronavirus might have originated from an animal research lab 280 meters away from the epicenter of the outbreak. The scientists were reportedly bitten by bats used to test on a louse. Oh, are we starting to get China to maybe sort of come forward with the fact that this might not be naturally occurring? That it wasn't some random happenstance of a bat butt fucking a pangolin and then getting eaten for dinner? That maybe the Institute of Virology, which is 20 miles away, and the University of Technology and the university where those samples that were stolen from Canada were getting sent, which were 8 miles away, that maybe one of those two locations might have had some fucking idiots working at them that mishandled shit? I don't know. We live in clown world. This is a Dean Koontz novel. This is a Dean Koontz novel. It's the only explanation for this, how fucking stupid this is. How do you get... If you read, by the way, I wish they had included this. They didn't. If you read up on this, it's not just that they got bit by bats. One dude reported that a bat pissed on him. I like to think that the reason this super disease is spreading around the world is because some stupid fucking scientist in China was unlucky enough to have a bat piss in his mouth. That's what I'm going with now. Escaped bioweapon or a bat pissed in his mouth. One of those two things happened. I don't know which one it is, but it's certainly one of them. Cases are starting to grow, and we've got a lot of them coming from a church. But I'd like to stress the point that of the 134 cases or 143 cases that there were today, 90 of them came from a hospital. Not from the church, from a hospital. If you remember the Lancet article and other studies that had come out said that this thing spreads like wildfire in a hospital setting. Again, totally not a bioweapon, right? Let's not make something where when you go for treatment you get sick because of the proximity. But a lot of these did come from a super spreader. The superest of super spreaders puts the British guy to shame. I think she's gotten 50 or 60 people sick. Now, when you see South Korea talk about this particular church, this religious sect, this Christian sect, they keep calling it cult. Why are they calling it a cult? Well, apparently the founder believes he's Jesus and Satan. It's like a twofer, it's a combo. Where they're telling people coming to church services, don't wear a mask, don't wear goggles. But there is one detail people are leaving out, and I think you're going to love this. Hold on to your asses. I think you're going to really love this part, chat. Yeah. Let me make sure I got the right one. It's buried in a New York Times article. It's just a little piece of information that makes this even more bizarre. So let's pull that up. Okay, here's the New York Times article. Talk about Seoul, South Korea, and the secretive, I can't pronounce this, Shinji, I'm going to call it the Shinji Church. The Shinji Church of Jesus worshippers that sit tightly packed together on the floor, forbidden from wearing glasses or face masks. Now, this was the group that's responsible for a fair amount of the people that are getting infected. I think they've upped the number now to, what is it? I don't even know. It's some ludicrous 500 of them are showing symptoms. So it's ground zero. It's the mecca of this shit that's going to spread throughout South Korea. But when you go through and they talk about how weird this church is and the amount of members that got together and how they're familiar with it and why it's so just bizarre and weird, talking about where the outbreak struck and patient 31, that's the designation of the person that got everybody fucking sick back on February 7th. That's when they went to the hospital, so plenty of time to run around. At least 1,000 members attended that day on those 2 Sunday services that this person attended. Brilliant, great, love it. But there's one piece, let's see if I can find it. Okay, buckle up, chat. You're going to fucking love this. Ready? Jung Yang, director of the Korea Center for Disease Control and Prevention said, authorities were investigating reports that the Shinji Church had operations in Hubei, the Chinese province that includes Wuhan, where the virus emerged. The South Korean news agency Newsys reported on Friday that Shinji opened a church in Wuhan last year, and the references to it have been removed from the website. Church officials could not immediately be reached for comment. So let's piece together a little conspiracy theory, something new, something interesting, something hasn't really been thought about. You've got a crazy religious sect that might be intentionally infecting themselves with the disease, and they were at ground zero. Now, if you know anything about cults, cults are really good at bringing people in. Now, I wonder, is it perhaps a possibility that they set this church up last year, and that one of the newer members of that church might have been, potentially, somebody that worked at the Virology Institute, or somebody that worked at the Bio Lab? Imagine if you're an insane cult that believes the apocalypse is coming, and that your founder is Jesus/Satan. And then one of your newer members says, hey, I work in a virology lab where we create death plagues. Maybe I could share it with you. Maybe we could spread it to the world. Real death cult shit, that's right, chat. Just take a minute and really ponder the coincidence of a cult in South Korea spreading this intentionally, and that same cult being located at ground fucking zero, and then erasing all references to its existence in Wuhan. Yeah, we're talking some Resident Evil shit. That's right, chat. 12 Monkeys, we're going above and beyond. The meme magic on this shit is off the fucking charts. So I'd like you to enjoy that. That's my gift to you, chat. That's my gift to you. It's a nice thinking thought about the fact that maybe a death cult is responsible for a pandemic. That's the kind of shit you read in a book. But if that wasn't just awful enough, if this disease wasn't terrible enough that can live on surfaces for up to fucking 9 days, enjoy those Amazon packages when you order your video games, kids. That's going to be fun. Oh, you want that new Switch game? Guess what? It's getting shipped to you from China. They're going to sneeze all over it. As if that wasn't bad enough. As if the idea that this is aerosolized, that it can be sneezed up to 3 to 4 meters at you, wasn't bad enough. Prepare to meet India's worst fucking nightmare. Braps of death. COVID-19 may be both respiratory and fecal transmission, while a sneeze by someone with a respiratory disease can only infect others within a few meters. Virus-laden gaseous plumes from an infected person with diarrhea can infect others up to 200 meters. Now, I want you to imagine yourself. There you are, Pajit, sitting down by the river squatting, letting out a deuce. Not feeling so well. I had a bit of a cough for a while. Not sure what's going on there. But you're squeezing it out because that's what you do. It's a designated shitting area. All of a sudden, your gaseous plume of death floats 200 fucking meters and infects everybody else in the area. Bet you wish you'd listened to those fucking UNICEF PSAs about using a toilet now, huh? Gaseous plumes of death. Oh, I love this girl. I'm in love with this avatar of death. We're living in a fucking novel. This is like In the Mouth of Madness. This is so insane it has to have been written by somebody. You can't make things like this up. Fucking fecal ass explosion death plumes. Oh, how'd you like to have that written on your goddamn tombstone? So how'd you get taken out? Well, somebody farted near me. You see, I was hanging out down by the river with my bud, and he had really bad diarrhea. I was like half a mile away, but what do you know? His fucking fecal explosive, his death cloud, caught up to me. He brapped his way all the way over here across the river, and now I'm a dead man. I'm a dead man. Oh, the gift that keeps on giving. But so I just wanted to start out with the nothing burger thing. When you hear people say, or try to say, which I don't even believe, by the way, that it's hit peak in China, but when they say it's hit peak in China, just remember, they're not cured. They're still infecting people. There is no cure. There's no cure at all. Can we talk about just basic human fucking stupidity? Because we've seen quite a few examples of basic human fucking stupidity since this thing has began. Seems like every world leader, regardless of political affiliation, save one, and we'll talk about him in a minute, has been just retarded when it comes to dealing with this. But the basic person on the street, too, is fairly stupid. Now, I'd like to show you something that happened, just happened a couple weeks ago. One of those campaigns to teach those terrible racists a lesson. I want you to, I'm going to read this to you, and I think you'll immediately understand why it's funny. And then just let me read it to you, and then think about what's recently happened. And you'll see the humor in it, I think. On the streets of Florence, Italy, a Wuhan student studying abroad stood with his eyes closed and the card next to him. I am not a virus. I am a human. Eradicate the prejudice. You will love to see how people respond. Oh, how did they respond? Let's watch. Oh my God, this is so uplifting and heartwarming. Oh, get fucked, xenophobia. He's not a virus. I want this man to spit in my mouth. That's right, get up there and make direct contact, you fucking limp shit morons. Oh, take that mask and that blindfold off and kiss him. Oh, get in there for a smooch. Oh, what's the virus count in Italy right now, by the way? Is it 320? Spreading like wildfire, isn't it? Oh, that is some good. That's some good shit. I am not a virus. Come and give me a hug. Give me a kiss. Let the Chinese man spit in your mouth. That's the only way to teach those fucking racists a lesson. It's like they're just daring things. They're being very daring about it. This world is run by idiots. Good case in point. Let's talk about the press conference with Trump today. Now, he had his little virologist guy, and I do mean little. Oh, he's the tiny little dude. Now, I mean, to be fair, Trump is like 7 feet tall. I can't remember the guy's name exactly, but he's like Oompa Loompa sized. Like, if you put Ben Shapiro next to this dude, Ben Shapiro would look like a giant. And he got up there and he said something I found really interesting. There is no reinfection. Bullshit. You can't say that with a serious face. And I'm going to show you why. So let's go through the idea of reinfection or the disease simply not leaving you. Let's look at some news articles. You tell me. Okay, they want to use morbidity and mortality and all this stuff. They want to take the numbers from China and the data from China and say it's acceptable. Well, if you're going to take that, you got to take it all. And taking all of it means you take all of it. Let's look. Coronavirus. Wuhan to quarantine all cured patients for another 14 days after some test positive again. Decision follows several instances in which recovered patients were found to still be carrying the virus and able to infect others. From Guangdong. 14% of recovered coronavirus patients in China's Guangdong tested positive again. From Jingzhou. First confirmed COVID case in Jingzhou, again tested positive after discharge from hospital 2 weeks prior. His daughter also tested positive after recovery. The two of them are now back in the hospital and they're hospitalized for a second go-around. But it's not just China. In Ontario, a couple have recovered but are still testing positive for coronavirus after they had to do fecal swabs and they found the virus still present for weeks after their recovery period. Let's look at South Korea. South Korean woman reinfected with coronavirus after recovery. Not just South Korea either. Let's go over to Japan. Japan confirms first case of person reinfected with coronavirus. The reinfection has health officials worried the illness could stay dormant after signs of recovery. China, Canada, South Korea, Japan. I'm almost fairly 100% certain this happened for Israel too. One of the people that went through quarantine in a recovery period ended up getting the fucking disease again. So it's really one of two things. You get it and it doesn't go away, or you get it and you get reinfected easily. 14 fucking percent of cases, they're saying in Guangdong, are getting reinfected. They're seeing examples of it in South Korea, Japan, and potentially the Ontario one. So for him to get up on television and say reinfection's bullshit. No, once you get rid of the virus, you're good to go. No, not true. Bullshit. Bullshit. It's a dangerous thing to get up there and say, especially if you're going to spout off Chinese numbers at me. If you're going to give me Chinese data and act like that's accurate, you fucking take all of it. You don't helpfully leave out portions of it to make it so people don't panic. Because, we got to protect the markets, right? That's what we have to protect. Fuck the American people. I need my markets to recover. It's ridiculous. I'm watching a press conference on a fucking health crisis, and the first thing I hear is blood and treasure and a fucking Taliban. And then I'm told, I swear to God, I'm not making it up. This poor, beautiful woman that died in Washington, really tragic. By the way, Apple tells me iPhones are back on the market. Hooray! Get your fucking priorities straight. What is going on? And it's not. I don't want to make it seem like this is just America. Every fucking country is doing this. They're late They're late every time. They're always behind when it comes to mitigation and control. And I'd also really love just one journalist in the world who gets a chance when you get to call in on the World Health Organization telepress conference or the Center for Disease Control telepress conference. Please ask the following. You've said multiple times that China's ability to control this was instrumental in stopping its spread, and that based on that, you believe we can control it as well. What portion exactly of how China handled this do you believe we should implement? Are you saying that forced quarantine camps and welding people in their apartment is the way that the American government wants to take it? I'd love to see one of those fuckers answer that question. I'd love to see the response to that. Just give it to me. Throw the answer back to me so I can know where we're going with that. Reinfection is impossible. Bullshit. I don't know if it's reinfection. I don't know if this thing goes dormant. I don't know what it does. But you know what I've come to the conclusion on? They don't know either. They've had 2 months to fucking play with this thing. They've got the whole sequence of the goddamn thing. They've got it modeled and fucking printed out and put in a poster on their wall. And they still don't know how the fucking thing operates. So it just bothers me to hear them say low risk. Well, you can't tell me it's low risk if you don't know how it fucking functions and operates in a population. You know, this idea of trying to sell it to the American people of, well, young people are going to be fine. I've seen Bill Mitchell and others really put this forward, and I want you to get this into your mind of what they're actually saying. Young people will be fine. If you're 20 or 30 or 40, you're fine. Which is, again, untrue because 20, 30, and 40-year-olds do die. But if you're 20, 30, and 40, you're fine. It's just the old people that die. So is that the campaign slogan going into 2020? Vote Trump, you only have to bury your parents? Are you going to tell a bunch of 30 and 40-year-olds that, don't worry, you'll live through it, but you'll have to, bury mom and dad and grandpa and grandma? What a horrible fucking thing to say. What a retarded thing to say. You know, the case in Oregon we have is a teacher that may have infected students, and the case in Washington we have is a student that may have infected other students. So they're young, they're healthy. Let's say they don't have any of the, comorbidities that might play a part in it, like obesity and diabetes and all this other shit. Let's say they're just healthy young kids, they're fine. They get it, they get the sniffles, they're fine. Except mom and dad live with them. How old are mom and dad? What shape are mom and dad in? So the kids get it, they recover from it, they spread it to mom and dad get sick, they get sent off to a coof camp. Now who's taking care of the kids? You know, we've looked at one aspect of this, of how are the hospitals going to handle the surge? Are they going to be able to handle having a bunch of people in the ICU if it really starts to spread? Here's a better question. Is social services going to be able to handle taking care of all these fucking kids that are going to be stuck home alone when mom and dad have to go to the hospital? Who's going to look after them? You gonna tell little Timmy and Becky, best of luck, here's a can of tuna, see you in a fucking month? It just feels like there's no game plan within the United States on what anybody's going to do. And if you look at each state's press conference individually, they're telling you more than the federal level is telling you. In Washington, they told people in their press conference, you need to have a pandemic preparedness plan. In Minnesota, they said the same fucking thing. They said it on the 24th of, 5 days ago now. Oregon even briefly touched on this. So each of the individual states is basically saying, yeah, you better get ready, shit's coming. And yet at the federal level, we're told, no, it's not a big deal. No, it's not. You guys need to relax. You even have the Surgeon General parroting what was said in the press conference today. Seriously, people, stop buying masks. They're not effective in preventing general public from catching coronavirus. But if healthcare providers can't get them to take care of sick patients, it puts our communities at risk. What kind of supply chain are we looking at here in the United States where the fucking Surgeon General needs to run out to a hardware store to buy masks for the doctors? You're telling people they can't buy consumer goods because you can't get the back end of your distribution working? Am I supposed to understand that hospitals and clinics around this country are so inept and fucked when it comes to procuring protective equipment that they're going to have to go to the local Walmart to do it? And I also like this, it's kind of like a backhand right to your face if you're a stupid American. You're too dumb, pleb. You little peon, you're too stupid to use a mask. That's for the doctors. You go out there and you let them coof in your mouth. You let them spit right in your mouth. You're going to like it. Oh, you like getting coofed on, don't you? Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, I really want to listen to the Surgeon General tell me I don't need a mask when the fucking health department pulls this shit. U.S. workers without protective gear assisted coronavirus evacuees, HHS whistleblower says. Does it ever end with this fucking country? Our Surgeon General's telling you don't protect yourself. The health workers that were designated to work with the evacuees from the Diamond Princess and overseas weren't wearing protective gear. The Center for Disease Control can't make a fucking test that works. In fact, they sent broken tests with a bad reagent out to about 12 states that gave false results. They had to send the goddamn test kits back. How do you fuck up on that level? These are multiple government organizations. It's not one. That's 3 of them that have been fucking up. Don't protect yourself. We'll protect ourselves, though. Apparently not. And then here's our test kit, which doesn't work. That'll be $3,500 plus tip, please. Have you been enjoying it, chat? Have you been enjoying this nothing burger, this empty bun? I've been covering this now for, we're approaching month 2. Month 2, and what I was told was a complete nothing burger. Nothing's going to happen. Jim, it's just a flu. Stop doom posting. You're sounding like Alex Jones. There's nothing here. It's uninteresting. Go away. Stop covering it. Well, look at that fucking map. Oh, that's a beautiful map. Now, I know, given the time zone that I'm currently streaming in, a lot of people are probably wondering, shouldn't I be showing a map of the U.S.? I mean, the world we know is fucked, but what about the U.S.? We really want to take a good look. Let's go look at New York Times map of the U.S. That includes pretty much everything. I love they chose a garish white background overlaid with piss yellow to make your eyes bleed a little bit every time you look at it. You know, give you a confusing symptom to report to the doctor with. Why are my eyes bleeding? I thought the coronavirus only made me coof. Oh, you've been reading the New York Times. That's your fault. That's not a part of the disease. I'm sorry. I'm seeing what nobody wants to see right around those metropolitan urban areas. Giant fucking circles of death. Coofing rings, if you will, that are spreading outwards at unprecedented rates. We've got them up by Portland and Seattle, by LA and San Francisco, and over in New York City. Not looking good. Of course, Texas is starting to catch up a little bit. We've got Florida man engaged in hand-to-hand combat, high on meth, eating people's faces, trying to protect us in the South from coronavirus. One hit of meth at a time. I don't know if they'll be successful in that, but that map, I'm looking at that map, I'm a little confused. Looks like most of those states have shit in them. Holy shit, maybe if we had, used the last 2 months to get prepared, that wouldn't be the case. But everybody's got to treat it like a nothing burger till it's knocking on their door. Oh, who is that? Oh, somebody's at the door? Is that imminent death? Sorry, you can't come in. I'm sorry, no, imminent death can't come in. I'm sorry about that. We can't, there's no entry into here. No, let's leave the borders open. Fuck it. All flights can come in. We've got this disease that spreads asymptomatically and has an incubation period, debatedly, between 14 and 24 days. Let's leave all the flights open. Let's only block air traffic from Wuhan until it spreads to Europe and Africa and South America. Here's a fucking funny idea. How about we just shut it all down? Have we not played enough of Plague Inc. to know that we need to go Madagascar on this shit and shut it the fuck down? No air traffic, no boats. Shut it down. All of it down. Let the world burn itself out as you shut it down. But no, we live in a globalized society. Everybody loves that. Oh, the tourism dollars, all the manufacturing and supply chains. You can't shut it down. And now everybody's infected. Brilliant. Let's piss away that 2-month head start by sitting there with a thumb up our ass. Oh, and thank you, CDC. I had some faith in you. I don't know what the fuck happened. When this originally started, the CDC was really on the ball. They forced the World Health Organization to acknowledge that this was a serious thing. I think I need to go over a little bit of history here because everything's getting politicized now because it's at the U.S., so let's go over just a tiny bit of history of this nothing burger so people kind of understand the narrative that was going on for the longest fucking time. When this appeared in China, people hand-waved it away. They didn't care. And the first ring of PR and narrative spinning that came out was, China's so amazing. Oh my God, I love China. Can I suck China's dick? Is it possible? Xi Jinping, can I just, oh, I want to gargle it. Can I gargle it? Can I gargle it, Winnie? Is that acceptable? Oh my God, there's such big brains over there. They're going to take care of it. Nothing to worry about. And then the World Health Organization, headed up by Teddy. Now, his name is Tedros Adhanom. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I just remember him. Real simple way of remembering who heads the World Health Organization. Just thinking to yourself, oh, he's the guy that covered up those cholera epidemics in Africa. That's how I remember who Teddy is. Well, Teddy told everybody it's a nothing burger. It'll never really spread. China's got it contained. But then it started to spread. It started to spread everywhere. And for 2 months straight, we listened to the mainstream media on every fucking continent say the same goddamn shit. There's nothing to be worried about. This is not a big deal. It's not going to spread. It's not that deadly. It doesn't overwhelm hospitals. China's got it under control. The World Health Organization won't call it a pandemic. And that was shoved down. You remember all the articles? You're racist if you're scared of Chinese people. You're racist if you want to wear a mask. You're racist if you want to have travel restrictions put in place. That was going on for quite a while. And the World Health Organization refused to acknowledge this was a serious threat. So what did the CDC do? They waited a half an hour before a World Health Organization announcement. And they told the world, oh, yes, you can transmit this person to person. There was a while they didn't think you could. Immediately following that, the World Health Organization starts to take it a little more seriously. And I always looked at that as the CDC stepping in and being bro-tier about it and getting WHO to get off their fat, lazy, retarded asses. Then we had our military bases getting ready. We're going to pull our people out. We're going to quarantine them. And we're going to get them treatment. It's going to be safe and secure, and we have nothing to worry about. So I thought, okay, the CDC's got their shit down. They've got their testing kits ready. They're pushing the World Health Organization around like a little bitch. We've got the government getting some military areas set up for quarantines from people coming in through airports. It looks like they're on the ball. And yet, here we are 2 months later, and how many people has the CDC tested? How many testing kits have gone out? We've tested maybe 500 people. It got so bad that the governors of multiple states had to step in and start publicly shaming them. And there's no reason. Now, the CDC will say it's because a reagent didn't work in the kit. They needed 3 different pieces to make this test really function, and one of the reagents, didn't work properly. Okay, well, hurry it the fuck up then. Come up with a new iteration of the test. Because South Korea's doing it so well, they've got drive-thrus. You don't even have to get out of your car to get tested for the coronavirus. China found a way to do it, and I'm almost 100% certain China's lying about their numbers. Italy, Iran, everybody else can test. The UK, tens of thousands of tests. And yet the United States seems incapable of testing its own citizens about this fucking disease. It's sort of remarkable, really, how inept the CDC is and how soul-crushing it is to watch any faith you might have in them just dwindle away. But now it's reached America, and now it's politicized. Now it's a political fight between the parties. Well, I'm staying true to my narrative. That somebody got pissed on by a bat in a laboratory or a bioweapon got loose. I don't know how you want to which story you want to go to. I mean, we've got 3 really scenarios that we've discussed over the previous streams that we've done. What are those? One dude got face humped by a bat and it pissed in his mouth and made him sick. And I'm not even making that up. That's reported through Chinese media. Another one is it's the virology lab or the university lab that had the hazard clearance, both located in Wuhan, both a few miles from the wet market. And it's a leaked bioweapon or some kind of weird vaccine experiment. Something got loose because somebody wasn't paying attention. I mean, that's scenario number 2. And then, of course, the more interesting of them is the Shinji cult from South Korea somehow flipped one of the bio people at the lab and got their hands on it and wanted to start the apocalypse because they're doomsday people. I don't know. So you got a lot of crazy ideas of where it came from. But the point is, it is from China. It is from Wuhan. More than likely, it's not natural. But we've listened to 2 months of bullshit about how we shouldn't be afraid of it, and it's a nothing burger. And now here we sit as multiple cities in the United States are facing this shit. As numerous nations across the world try to cope with it, Italy has already declared a lockdown, not just of Milan or Venice or a few cities or regions, the whole fucking country. I mean, you want to look at the American response to how fucking dumb we are. let's talk about how stupid Americans are. We know that this thing is out there, and we know that you can have asymptomatic spreaders. The incubation period can last a while, and again, it's debatable. Remember, in America, we had a person that was quarantined for 14 days in California. 3 days after leaving quarantine, they tested positive. So don't give me that it's only 14 days shit. We already have a case here that shows that that's not the truth. That's not the whole story. And yet, so you've got this disease out there doing all this terrible shit. So what do? Super fucking Tuesday. That's what we do. Let's get everybody out to vote and wait in giant lines with one another so they can coof all over each other. And then the very next day, the governor of California comes out, and what does he say? It's a national emergency, state emergency. Oh my God, it's terrible. We need to do something. Got to let those people vote. I shit on Iran for doing that, and here we are doing it over here. Now, we've got a lot of events and gatherings that have shut down because people aren't completely fucking retarded. South by Southwest, done. A lot of the CES show participants, done. Sporting events, racing events, done. All canceled. Yet there's still events that are going to go on. Comic-Con's already talking about going on. Good luck with that. I don't think E3 is going to happen. I don't know what the fuck's going to happen with the Olympics. Where do we go with it? I don't know. But it's spreading in America now, and Americans are the fattest people in the world, the least healthy people in the world, and the stubbornest people in the world. So you got a bunch of fat, unhealthy, stubborn fucks now that are exposed to a disease that really needs cooperation to make it stop spreading. Oh, we are fucked. We are so very fucked. Sorry, Chad, I'm going off a little bit, but I want to get that out there because I've noticed a very weird turn of events when it comes to people talking about this disease. Once it hit American shores, suddenly it became about left versus right. Spoiler alert, it isn't. You're both fucking retards. Lefties, you're idiots for being open borders and let's hold hands and sing Kumbaya and letting this shit in. And right-wingers, you care more about the goddamn markets than you do people dying. You're both fucking retards and you're both putting us in danger. So let's put the politicalization of it aside. And let's deal with the reality that we've got a Chinese virus. Oh, I can't say that. I know it makes them mad when you call it the Wu flu. A Chinese virus spreading all over the world, bringing death and despair in its wake. I guess I am a pessimist. When I look at the situation and how it's unfolded, when I look at what people are grasping onto as I watch the damage to the economy, this could end tomorrow. And you're going to feel the reverberations of this fucking shit for at least 3 to 5 years. I guarantee it. It's going to have an effect on the economy. It's going to have an effect on how manufacturing jobs and medical supplies and all sorts of things happen. About international relationships. We're going to start to re-examine how we interact with each other all over the world. How we deal with one another all over the world. And if this shit about reinfection, if it's even a little bit true, if people that were positive with this once somehow flare up again, or they're so susceptible to the disease that their antibodies aren't built up and they immediately get it again, how do you deal with that? You're looking at nearly 600,000 infected worldwide. Let's say it ended today and nobody else got infected. They just all miraculously recovered. But then you find out that they're still infectious. That in a week or a month they could suddenly start to flare up again and the virus is now contagious again. So what do you do with those 600,000 people in every nation on Earth that could start the spread of the disease again? Even if it's just 5 to 10% or 14% like Guangdong had said. But let's say 10%, 60,000 people. Let's say it's just a 10% reoccurrence rate. What do you do with those 60,000? Do you isolate them? Do you put them in a little house on an island and never let them leave? Now imagine that number keeps growing and it's millions infected. You can see how it could become a bit of a big problem. And this argument that these are defective tests, that's not going to last forever, everyone. I know the people and why they're saying it, and there's some truth to it. But eventually, you're not going to be able to lean back on that and explain away the reinfection or the reoccurrence as faulty testing equipment. Not this many, not this dispersed around the world. This thing is a little more vicious, I think, than people realized. And I think too, as we've watched the numbers increase, as we've watched Italy and Spain and France and of course the United States, we've noticed that there's something awfully wrong about the Chinese numbers. My God, do you think they might have lied? It's not like they've done that numerous times before when it comes to disease statistics, like they did with SARS and swine flu and every other goddamn thing that's really happened over the past 20 to 30 years. In fact, their economy they lie so much about, there's a special index created to track the real numbers. I'll show you that on Sunday. It's quite funny, actually, how people don't really have any faith in the ability of China to report on its own economy, so they created their own index to track the real thing. But when you look at 80,000 plus people infected in Italy with a 10% death rate, when you look at the U.S. with 100,000 infected and a rising death rate as those ICU beds get full, as capacity is surged past, as you look at the Spains and the Frances, and you look at everybody else and how quickly it seems to be spreading or gaining momentum, as the amount of people pile up that are getting critically ill, as the amount of people that are dying start to pile up, and you look back on those Chinese numbers and you realize they had months of this, that they were well ahead of everybody else by months, and their numbers suddenly stop at 80,000 and they never go any farther, and dense packed cities of 11 million, 12 million, 15 million people, in a country that locked down 750 million people over this, you're telling me they only have 80,000 infected and only 3,000 dead? I know people brought up the difference of age demographics. I was unaware that China had no old people in it. I didn't realize it was a nation of Zoomers, that once you hit the age of 20, you were shot in the head. Apparently, it's a nation run by teenagers that love Twitch. Who knew? Who knew? I guess we could get along with them if we'd only known their love of video games. Those young Chinese people who never ever age past 40. So I'm starting to suspect that maybe the Chinese lied. Maybe they made up some things. Maybe they weren't wholly, totally honest with us. Which I think brings around a really interesting point. Let's, again, hypothetically speculate that this ends tomorrow. With the amount of infection and death and worry that's happened to people physically, with the amount of financial damage that is more than obviously apparent, with the mass rise in unemployment around the world because people have been laid off or put on furlough, or their jobs have just disappeared because a company collapsed. This was a hit. This fucked with the world for months. So is China going to be held responsible for it? Now you can brush away and say, they didn't make this in a biolaboratory, that's a conspiracy theory. Well, even going on that line of thinking, even if you believe this is a naturally developing disease that emerged in China in their wet market or somewhere in Wuhan or Hubei or wherever, they still hid the numbers from us. They hid the truth about what was happening. 80,000 is bullshit. And I think it's starting to become clear that that's bullshit. So if you're a nation that knows that you have a highly infectious disease that could damage a population or cripple an economy, and you withhold very important information from other nations that are vulnerable to that disease, my 40 acres and a mule.